The great hall was dark. Blue lights hung from the tall ceiling like frozen stars. 12 alien leaders sat in a circle. They came from 12 different worlds. Each one was powerful. Each one was old. And each one had come here with one purpose. They wanted to talk about the humans. Minho stood in the shadows near the wall. He wore a long gray robe. His face was hidden behind a smooth white mask. The mask made him look like a Valoran, a race of pale beings with no visible mouths. The Valorans spoke through small devices on their necks. Minho had one too. It changed his voice. It made him sound like them. But Minho was not a Valoran. He was human. He had lived among the stars for 15 years. He had learned their languages. He had studied their ways. The Galactic Union had never accepted humans. They thought humans were too young, too wild, too dangerous. So humans were never invited to meetings like this one. But Minho had found a way in. He worked as a translator for a Valoran diplomat named Kalu. Kalu was kind but weak. He never looked at his servants. He never asked questions. He simply assumed Minho was what he appeared to be. Tonight was different. Tonight was important. Minho had heard whispers for months. The Union was planning something. Something big. Something about Earth. He had to know what it was. So he stood in the shadows and listened. The first to speak was a creature called Borak. He was from a world of fire and stone. His skin was red and cracked like old lava. His eyes glowed yellow. He stood up, and the room became quiet. "We all know why we are here," Borak said. His voice was deep and rough. "The human problem has gone on for too long. They spread like a disease. They take what is not theirs. They fight without honor. They must be stopped." Minho's heart beat faster, but he did not move. He did not make a sound. Another leader spoke. Her name was Vela. She was tall and thin, with silver skin. She moved like water. "I agree with Borak," she said. "My people have watched the humans for 200 years. They are not like us. They do not follow rules. They do not respect the old ways. They are chaos." "Chaos," another leader repeated. This one was a creature of many eyes and many arms. His name was Torik. Yes, that is the right word. They build weapons faster than any race we have seen. They fight among themselves, and yet they grow stronger. How is this possible? "It is because they do not fear death," said a small being named Sira. She was covered in soft blue fur. Her voice was gentle, but sad. "They run toward danger. They sacrifice themselves for strangers. It is unnatural. It is frightening." Minho felt a strange mix of pride and anger. They feared humans. They did not understand humans. And because of that fear, they wanted to destroy them. Borak raised his hand. "I say we vote. I say we end this now. We have the power. We have the ships. We can strike Earth before they know we are coming. We can end the human race tonight." The room was silent. Minho's legs felt weak. His hands shook under his robe. He wanted to scream. He wanted to run. But he knew he could not. If he revealed himself now, they would kill him. And then no one would warn Earth. He had to stay calm. He had to think. One leader had not spoken yet. His name was Doru. He was an old creature with gray skin and tired eyes. He sat in the largest chair. He was the head of the council. "This is a serious matter," Doru said slowly. "We cannot make this choice quickly. Destroying an entire species is not a small thing. There are laws. There are questions." "What questions?" Borak demanded. "The humans are dangerous. That is all we need to know." "Perhaps," Doru said. "But we should hear all sides. Is there anyone here who speaks for the humans? Is there anyone who believes they deserve to live?" The room was silent again. No one spoke. Minho felt his heart pounding in his chest. He wanted to step forward. He wanted to defend his people. But if he did, he would die, and Earth would still burn. So he stayed in the shadows, and he waited. The meeting went on for another hour. Leader after leader spoke. They shared stories of human violence. They talked about human wars. They talked about human greed. Some of them showed images of destroyed planets, ruined cities, and burning forests. Minho knew these stories. He knew humans were not perfect, but he also knew they were more than this. They were kind. They were brave. They loved deeply and fought hard for what mattered to them. But no one in this room knew that. When the meeting ended, no vote was taken. Doru said they would meet again in 3 days. They would make their final decision then. 3 days. Minho had 3 days to save his world. He left the hall quietly. He walked through the long metal corridors of the space station. His mind was racing. He needed a plan. He needed help. But who could he trust? He thought of his sister Yuna. She was back on Earth. She worked in a small hospital near the ocean. She did not know about his secret life. She did not know he was a spy. She only knew that he loved her and that he had promised to come home one day. He had to keep that promise. He had to save Earth, no matter what it cost him. Minho could not sleep that night. He lay on his narrow bed in the servant quarters and stared at the ceiling. The metal walls hummed with the sound of the station's engines. Outside his small window, stars moved slowly through the darkness. 3 days. He had 3 days to change the minds of 12 alien leaders. It seemed impossible, but Minho had done impossible things before. He thought about his journey to this place. 10 years ago, he had been a young soldier on Earth. He had joined the secret program called Shadow Bridge. It was a project to place human spies among the alien races. The training was hard. He had learned languages that no human had ever spoken. He had changed his body with special medicine. His skin had become pale. His eyes had become gray. He had become something that looked almost Valoran. The program had cost him everything. He had left his family. He had left his friends. He had left the woman he loved, a nurse named Hannah. She had cried when he told her goodbye. He had promised to return, but he never did. Now all those years of sacrifice might mean nothing. If the council voted to destroy Earth, billions of people would die. His sister Yuna, his old friends, children who had never seen an alien sky. All of them would be gone. Minho could not let that happen. The next morning, he went to work as usual. He followed Kalu to meetings. He translated messages. He acted normal. But inside, his mind was working hard. He needed information. He needed to know who might vote against the attack. Maybe some leaders could be convinced. Maybe some of them had doubts. During a break, Minho walked through the public areas of the station. He passed shops and restaurants filled with beings from many worlds. He listened to their conversations. He watched their faces. Then, he saw something interesting. In a quiet corner, the leader named Sira was sitting alone. She was the small, furry creature with the gentle voice. She stared out a window at the stars. Her eyes were wet. She looked sad. Minho walked closer. He pretended to look at a nearby plant, but he listened carefully. Sira whispered to herself, "Is this right? Is this what we should do?" Minho's heart jumped. She had doubts. She was not sure about the attack. He took a deep breath. Then he made a choice. "Excuse me," he said, using his Valoran voice device. "Are you well?" Sira looked up. She seemed surprised. "I am fine," she said. "Just thinking about the human question," Minho asked carefully. Sira studied him for a moment. "You are a servant," she said. "Why do you ask about council matters?" "I hear many things," Minho said. "I see many things. And I think maybe not everyone agrees with Borak." Sira was quiet for a long time. Then she sighed. "You are right," she said. "I do not know if we should do this. The humans are strange. They are dangerous. But are they evil? I am not sure." "What makes you unsure?" Minho asked. Sira looked at the stars again. "Long ago, my grandmother told me a story," she said. "She was a traveler. She visited many worlds. One time, her ship crashed on a small planet. She was hurt. She was alone. She thought she would die." "What happened?" Minho asked. "A human found her," Sira said, He was a farmer. Simple man. He did not know what she was. He did not care. He took her to his home. He gave her food and water. He helped her heal. When she was strong again, he helped her fix her ship. He asked for nothing in return. Minho felt his chest tighten. "That is a beautiful story," he said. "Yes," Sira said. "My grandmother never forgot that man. She said humans were strange, but they had good hearts. She believed they deserved a chance." "And what do you believe?" Minho asked. Sira closed her eyes. "I want to believe the same. But the other leaders have so many stories of human violence, so much proof of human danger. How can I argue against them?" Minho thought carefully. He knew he was taking a risk, but he had to try. "Maybe the stories are not complete," he said. "Maybe the council only sees part of the truth. Humans are young. They make mistakes. But they also learn. They grow. They try to be better." Sira looked at him with interest. "You speak as if you know them." His heart raced. "I have studied them," he said quickly. "As a translator, I must understand many cultures. The humans are complex. They are not just warriors. They are also artists, healers, dreamers. They create music that makes you feel things. They write stories that live for centuries. They love with a power that is hard to describe." Sira was silent. "Think of your grandmother's human," Minho continued. "He was a farmer, a nobody. And yet he saved a stranger from another world. That is the true human nature. Not war, not destruction, but kindness in unexpected places." Sira stood up. Her fur rippled in the station's cool air. "You give me much to think about," she said. "Thank you, strange Valoran. What is your name?" "Minho," he said without thinking. She tilted her head. "That is an unusual name for your kind." "It was given to me by someone special," he said. "It was not a lie." Sira nodded. "I will remember you, Minho, and I will think about what you have said." She walked away slowly. Minho watched her go. His hands were shaking. He had taken a big risk, but maybe, just maybe, he had planted a seed of doubt. One leader was not enough, but it was a start. He spent the rest of the day listening and watching. He learned that Doru, the council head, was also uncertain. The old creature had seen many wars. He was tired of death. He wanted peace. But Borak was powerful. Borak had allies. At least 7 leaders supported him. They wanted the attack to happen. Minho needed to do more. That night, he returned to his small room. He sat in the darkness and thought. He had one chance. One moment that could change everything. In 2 days, the council would meet again. They would make their final vote. Minho decided something then. He would speak at that meeting. He would remove his mask. He would reveal himself as human. It would probably mean his death. But if it could save Earth, it would be worth it. He thought of Yuna. He thought of Hannah. He thought of all the people he loved. Then he closed his eyes and prepared himself for what was to come. The day of the final vote arrived. Minho woke early. He washed his face. He looked at himself in the small mirror on his wall. His skin was still pale. His eyes were still gray. But behind those false colors, he was still human. He was still the boy from a small town near the mountains. He was still Yuna's brother. He was still the man who loved Hannah. And today, he might die. He put on his white mask. He wrapped himself in his gray robe. He walked through the corridors of the station one last time. He memorized the cold metal walls. He listened to the hum of the engines. He tried to feel everything, to remember everything. The great hall was already filling when he arrived. The 12 leaders sat in their places. Their guards stood behind them. Servants like Minho waited in the shadows along the walls. Kalu, his Valoran master, did not notice anything different about him. The old diplomat simply nodded and pointed to Minho's usual spot. Minho bowed and went to stand there. The meeting began. Doru, the council head, raised his hand for silence. The room became quiet. "We have talked for many days," Doru said. His voice was slow and heavy. "We have heard many opinions. Now it is time to decide." Should the Galactic Union attack Earth? Should we end the human species? Borak stood up immediately. His red skin glowed in the blue light. I say yes, he declared. The humans are a threat to all of us. Every year they grow stronger. Every year they build more weapons. If we wait too long, they will become unstoppable. We must act now. Several leaders nodded in agreement. Vila, the silver-skinned leader, spoke next. My people agree with Borak. The humans are unpredictable. They cannot be controlled. They cannot be trusted. We have tried to ignore them, but they keep spreading. They keep reaching for the stars. Soon, they will reach us. And then what? War, death, destruction. The humans fight among themselves, Torek added. His many eyes blinked rapidly. They cannot even live in peace on their own world. How can we expect them to live in peace with us? They are born for conflict. It is in their blood. Minho listened. His hands were tight fists under his robe. He wanted to shout. He wanted to fight. But not yet. He had to wait for the right moment. Then Cirrus stood up. The small, furry leader looked nervous. Her voice shook a little when she spoke. I have heard the arguments against the humans, she said. I understand the fear. But I am not sure destruction is the answer. The room stirred. Borak frowned. My grandmother met a human once, Sira continued. He saved her life. He asked for nothing. He showed her kindness when she expected only danger. Maybe the humans are not all bad. Maybe we only see the worst of them because that is what we are looking for. And one kind human does not change what the species is, Borak said harshly. One good apple does not make the tree healthy, perhaps Sira said. But should we kill every apple because some are bad? Should we burn the whole tree? The room was quiet. Doru nodded slowly. These are important questions, he said. But we must vote. That is why we are here. I will ask each of you to speak your choice. Attack or peace? Destruction or mercy? One by one the leaders spoke. Borak voted for attack. So did Vela. So did Torek. 4 more leaders joined them. That was 7 votes for destruction. Sira voted for peace. 2 other leaders voted with her. That was 3 votes for mercy. Doru had not voted yet. Neither had one other leader, a quiet creature named Bren. Bren was from a world of ice. He had not spoken during any of the meetings. No one knew what he was thinking. Bryn Doru said, What is your vote? Bryn sat in silence for a long moment. Then he spoke. His voice was cold and clear. I vote for attack, he said. The humans are too dangerous. 8 votes for destruction. 3 for mercy. Only Doru remained. Minho's heart sank. Even if Doru voted for peace, it would not be enough. The attack would happen. Earth would burn. He had to act now. Wait, Minho said. His voice echoed through the great hall. Every head turned toward him. Every eye found him in the shadows. Kalu looked confused. Servant, what are you doing? Be silent. But Minho stepped forward. He walked into the light. He stood in the center of the circle, surrounded by the most powerful beings in the galaxy. I have something to say, Minho declared. Borak laughed. A Valoran servant wants to speak at a council meeting. This is madness. Guards, remove him. Guards moved toward Minho, but Doru raised his hand. Wait, the old leader said. Let him speak. We have time to listen. The guard stopped. Minho took a deep breath. This was the moment. There was no going back. I am not what I appear to be, he said. Slowly, he reached up and removed his white mask. The room gasped. His pale Valoran skin was fake. Underneath, his true face was different. His skin was warm brown. His eyes were dark and deep. His features were soft and human. My name is Minho, he said. I am from Earth. I am a human. For a moment, no one moved. No one spoke. The leaders stared at him with shock and confusion. Then Borak roared, A human. Here. In our sacred hall. This is a trick. This is an attack. It is not an attack, Minho said calmly. I have no weapons. I have no army. I am just one man. I came here to learn. I came here to listen. And now I have come to speak for my people. You have no right to speak here, Bella hissed. You are an intruder. A spy. Yes, Minho admitted. I am a spy. I have been watching you for years. And in that time, I have learned something important about you. You are afraid of us. You do not hate us. You fear us. The room was silent. And maybe you should fear us, Minho continued. We are young. We are wild. We make terrible mistakes. But we also love fiercely. We fight for what we believe in. We never ever give up. That is what makes us dangerous. And that is also what makes us beautiful. He looked at each leader in turn. You can destroy Earth. You can kill billions of innocent people. But you will not destroy what makes us human. Because our spirit lives in every song we sing, every story we tell, every act of kindness we share. You cannot burn that away. It will survive. It will grow. And one day, it will find you again. Doru leaned forward. His tired eyes studied Minho carefully. You came here knowing you would die, the old leader said. Why? Minho smiled sadly. Because some things are worth dying for. The great hall erupted into chaos. Guards rushed toward Minho from every direction. Borak shouted orders. Vela called for weapons. The other leaders stood up from their seats, some backing away in fear, others moving closer in anger. But Minho did not run. He stood still in the center of the circle. He kept his hands open and visible. He did not want to fight. He wanted them to listen. Stop, Doru commanded. His old voice rang through the hall with surprising power. Everyone stop. The guards paused. The leaders froze. Slowly, the room became quiet again. Doru stood up from his large chair. He walked toward Minho with slow, careful steps. His gray skin looked even older in the blue light. His tired eyes never left Minho's face. You are brave, Doru said quietly. Foolish, but brave. Do you truly believe your words will save your people? Minho met the old leader's gaze. I believe truth has power, he said. I believe that even in this room, full of fear and anger, there is space for understanding. You are wise beings. You have lived for thousands of years. Surely you have learned that war only creates more war. Pretty words, Borak growled. He pushed past two guards and stood face to face with Minho. His yellow eyes burned with hatred. But words will not protect you now, human. You came into our sacred space. You lied to us. You spied on us. For that alone, you deserve death. Then kill me, Minho said simply. I will not resist. But before you do, answer me one question. Borak's red face twisted with confusion. What question? When the attack is done, Minho said, when Earth is burning and humans are dying, when children are screaming and parents are watching their families turn to ash, will you feel proud? Will you look at your hands and be happy with the blood on them? Borak opened his mouth to answer, but no words came out. Minho continued, I have watched your meetings. I have heard your stories. You talk about human violence like it is something special, but I have learned about your wars too. Every species in this room has fought. Every species has killed. The Valoran once destroyed 3 planets to end a rebellion. The people of fire made weapons that burned entire star systems. You are not peaceful. You just hide your violence better than we do. That is enough, Vela snapped. You cannot compare us to your savage kind. Why not? Minho asked. Because you are older? Because you learned to control your anger long ago? We are young. We are still learning, but we are learning fast. Every generation, we become a little better. We fight less. We build more. We reach for the stars not to conquer, but to explore, to discover, to grow. Sira stepped forward. Her blue fur caught the light. He speaks the truth, she said softly. My grandmother saw it, the potential for goodness in the human heart. Maybe we should give them more time. Time. Borak laughed bitterly. Time for them to build bigger weapons? Time for them to reach our worlds and take what they want? Time for them to prove themselves, Sira replied. Time for us to watch and judge fairly. Is that not what wisdom demands? The room stirred with whispers. Doru raised his hand again. The whispers stopped. The old leader walked in a slow circle around Minho, studying him from every angle. You have risked everything, Doru said at last. You have given up your safety, your future, perhaps your life, all for a chance to speak these words. That is something I have not seen in many ages. It reminds me of the old heroes from my world. The ones who stood alone against impossible enemies, the ones who believed in something greater than themselves. I am not a hero, Minho said. I am just a man who loves his home. Perhaps that is what heroes are, Doru replied. Men and women who love something so much they are willing to die for it. Eborak stepped forward again. This is madness. We cannot let a human change our minds with clever words. He is manipulating us. He is using tricks. What tricks? Doru asked calmly. He stands before us unarmed. He faces death without fear. He asks us to think, to question, to consider another path. These are not tricks. These are the actions of a person with honor. Honor. Borak spat. A human spy has no honor. Maybe not by your rules, Doru said. But by his own rules, he has shown great honor today. He could have stayed hidden. He could have run away. He could have let his world burn while he saved himself. Instead, he chose to stand before us and speak the truth. That takes courage. The room fell silent once more. Minho felt his legs growing weak. The fear was catching up to him. The reality of what he had done was sinking in. But he forced himself to stay standing. He forced himself to keep breathing. I will change my vote, Sira announced. I vote for peace. Your vote was already for peace, Borak said angrily. Then I vote with more strength, Sira replied. And I ask others to join me. One of the silent leaders, a creature with long arms and gentle eyes, raised a hand. I will change my vote, she said. I was afraid before. But this human has shown me something I had forgotten. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to act despite fear. The humans have this quality in great measure. Perhaps they deserve a chance. That made for votes for peace. Another leader changed his vote. Then another. Minho watched in amazement as the numbers shifted. 5 for peace. 6 for peace. The hall buzzed with tension and wonder. Borak's face darkened with rage. You are all fools, he shouted. You are being tricked by a single human. One man cannot represent his entire species. But one man can show what his species is capable of, Doru said. He turned to face the council. I have seen much in my long life. I have seen war and peace. I have seen destruction and creation. And I have learned that the greatest enemies often become the greatest friends. Perhaps the humans are meant to be our allies, not our victims. The old leader took a deep breath. I vote for peace, Doru declared. The count was now 7 votes for peace, 5 for attack. The humans would live. Minho's legs finally gave out. He fell to his knees in the center of the circle. Tears rolled down his face. He could not believe it. He had done the impossible. He had saved Earth. The days that followed were like a strange dream. Minho was not killed. He was not sent to prison. Instead, he was placed in special quarters on the station while the council decided what to do with him. The room was small but comfortable. There was a soft bed, a window showing the stars, and food delivered 3 times each day. He spent his time thinking about Earth, about Yuna, about Hannah, about all the people he had left behind so many years ago. He wondered if they still remembered him. He wondered if they would recognize him now. On the 3rd day, Doru came to visit. The old leader walked slowly into the room. His gray skin seemed lighter than before. His tired eyes held something new. Something like hope. You changed everything, Doru said, sitting in a chair across from Minho. Do you understand that? Minho shook his head. I only spoke the truth. The council made the choice. Right. But you gave them permission to choose differently, Doru replied. You showed them that another path was possible. Before you spoke, they saw only the human threat. After you spoke, they saw the human heart. That is no small thing. What happens now? Minho asked. Doru smiled slightly. Now, we try something new. The Council has voted to open talks with Earth. Official talks. For the first time in your species' history, you will speak with the Galactic Union as equals. Equals? Well, perhaps not quite equals, Doru admitted. You are still young. You still have much to learn. But you will have a voice. A seat at our table. A chance to prove yourselves. Tears filled Minho's eyes. He had hoped to save Earth from destruction. He had never imagined this. A future where humans walked among the stars as partners, not enemies. There is one more thing, Doru said. The Council has a request. What request? We want you to be the first human ambassador to the Galactic Union. Minho stared at the old leader in shock. Me, but I am a spy. I lied to you for years. You did what you believed was right, Doru said. You protected your people. That is what any good ambassador would do. And now you can protect them in a different way. You can build bridges instead of walls. You can help us understand each other. Minho thought about this for a long time. He thought about his life as a shadow, hiding in corners and wearing masks. He thought about all the years of loneliness. And he thought about what might come next. I will do it, he said finally. I will try. Doru nodded with satisfaction. Good, we will announce your appointment at the next council meeting. But first, I believe you have some personal matters to attend to? The old leader stood and walked to the door. He paused and looked back. We have arranged transport to Earth. You have earned a visit home. Then he left. 2 weeks later, Minho stepped off a shuttle and onto the soil of Earth for the first time in 15 years. The air was different from what he remembered. Cleaner, somehow. Sweeter. The sky was bright blue, dotted with white clouds. The sun was warm on his face. Real sunlight, not the artificial glow of space stations. He walked through the streets of the small town where he had grown up. Much had changed. New buildings stood where old ones had fallen. Children played in parks he did not recognize. But some things remained the same. The mountain in the distance. The river that ran through the center of town. The smell of flowers in the spring air. He found the hospital where Yuna worked. It was a small building, painted white, surrounded by trees. He stood outside for a long time, gathering his courage. Then he walked inside. Yuna was at the front desk, talking with a patient. She had grown older. Her hair was shorter now, touched with gray at the edges. But her smile was the same, bright and warm and full of life. She looked up and saw him. For a moment, she did not recognize him. Then her eyes went wide. Her mouth opened. No sound came out. "Hello, sister," Minho said softly. Yuna ran to him. She threw her arms around him and held on tight. She cried into his shoulder. He cried into hers. They stood like that for a long time. Two people who had been apart for too many years, finally together again. "I thought you were dead," Yuna whispered. "I thought I would never see you again." "I'm sorry," Minho said. "I had work to do. But I am here now, and I am not going away again." Later that day, he went to find Hannah. She lived in a small house near the ocean, just as she had always dreamed. When she opened the door, she stood very still. Her face showed 1,000 emotions all at once. Shock, joy, anger, sadness, hope. "Minho," she said, as if testing the word. "I kept my promise," he said. "I came back." Hannah stepped forward and slapped him across the face. Then she pulled him close and kissed him. In the following months, Minho returned to the stars. But this time, he did not go alone. He carried the hopes of all humanity with him. He spoke at council meetings. He negotiated treaties. He helped build new connections between Earth and the other worlds. It was not easy. There were arguments. There were setbacks. Some aliens still hated humans. Some humans still feared aliens. But slowly, step by step, things began to change. Minho never forgot the day he stood in that dark hall, surrounded by beings who wanted his species dead. He never forgot the fear in his heart or the strength he had found to speak anyway. And he made sure that every human who followed him into the stars understood one simple truth. The galaxy was full of danger. It was full of fear and hatred and misunderstanding, but it was also full of possibilities, full of chances for connection and growth and love. The room had wanted humanity dead, but humanity had chosen to live. And in the end, that choice made all the difference. On quiet nights, Minho would sit by the window of his office on the new human embassy station. He would look out at the stars and think about everything that had happened. Sometimes Hannah would join him. Sometimes Yuna would call from Earth. And sometimes he would just sit alone and remember. He was still just a man, one small person in a vast universe, but he had learned something important. One person with enough courage and enough love could change everything. And that was the most human thing of all.